What's up, guys? So Konami have released Maradona, Pirlo and Xabi Alonso, and as you can see, I've tried to spin for them but we're unsuccessful so far. Now I do have a few, loyal viewers who have kind of donated a little bit of money, so we are going to be able to finish spinning the pack, but I don't have the funds at the moment, so it'll be another day or two before I get there. But we are going to do a training guide in the meantime. So I've got 3 builds for Pirlo, 2 for Maradona and 1 for Xabi Alonso. So for Pirlo, here's the 3 builds. This one is kind of a well-rounded build. You can see if we take off the boosts, I mean, Pirlo is just one of the most well-rounded cards in the game. Pretty much every stat here is above 85. Defending, we have 3 of them above 85, and then the physicals, we're just trying to get it to 80 there. So you can see that's with the boosts. And then his booster stats are on ball control, dribbling, tight possession, and low pass. So that will bring dribbling above 90, and then the other ones are already above 90. If we go into this is more of an attacking build. Now, I know the stats actually look worse for attacking, but the reason it's the attacking build is just because you get the acceleration and balance higher, which is really important for when you're carrying the ball. So this is why that. Now, you could also just put less into defending, and if you wanted to get, let's say, dribbling up a little bit, but you won't be getting it up quite as much. That's why I would go for the build I had there with the defending and get the tackling to 80. For the defensive build, this is what I'd be looking at. I don't think the defensive build is necessary, but realistically it's not that much different than the attacking build. Pirlo's so well rounded that the builds are all very similar. I mean, actually I probably would recommend this build. Like, this defensive stats are crazy. He'd be a good defensive minded orchestrator. His finishing's quite lower, but if you are playing him DMF, this is what I'd use. I'd use these guys in CMF though. But if you are playing DMF, I think this build you can't go wrong with. Now, in terms of the skills, so the skills I'd recommend on Pirlo are double touch, long range curler, interception, first time shot, and track back. I think these builds these skills are necessary pretty much in every build. Now, if you're playing the DMF build, you might not need first time shot. You could probably go for a gamesmanship instead, because you'll win the ball. Sorry, when you're holding the ball onto him when you're in DMF. You get fouled pretty often, the refs give it. Now, if you're in the opponent's box, usually the gamesmanship doesn't seem to help, so you might want to go for flip-flap instead if he is going to be going forward for you. But yeah, if he's going forward, definitely put first time shot on him. He does have the very high weak foot, so it'll be good for that cutback on either foot, and it'll be really effective in that regard. And while in the builds I have, his finishing only gets to about 80, his kick on pair is really strong, so that first time shot will work very well. So for Maradona, I have 2 builds. One is a finisher build, and this is the one you're looking at now. I'll take the boosts off. You can see we're getting the finishing to 87. So when we put the boost on, it goes to 90. And very importantly, we're getting kick and power to 85. That will help a lot with your shooting. So there's not too much to say about the build. The low pass is quite low. We only put 4 points into passing, but if he's a finisher, he's a whole player. The whole player will be getting into the box very often. So I think the finishing build is very strong for Maradona. And then this one is the more well-rounded build. You can see the passing is quite a bit higher now. We got it to 86. I did have it on 85 originally, but you don't really have room to put the points elsewhere. You could put an extra one into dribbling, so you can do either that, or if you don't want it in dribbling, you could probably go shooting or anything. But then if you go shooting, you're basically going back to the finisher build. But I wouldn't really recommend this build because he's a whole player. He won't be there to play kind of crazy passes as much. It'll just be kind of passes that'll help him get into the box to shoot himself. So yeah, if I had to go for a build, I'd go for the finishing build. So for the skills I'd recommend on Maradona, I would go for soul control, first time shot, one touch pass, flip flap. And then for the last skill, I'd probably go fighting spirit, just because if you look at his skills, he's got so many of the kind of meta ones that it would be kind of good to have a passive skill on him. If you don't want to put fighting spirit on, you can probably go for heel trick just to help him. He's a whole player, plays 1-2, he needs to run forward, he'll be moving fast. Heel trick will help him in certain scenarios, keep his momentum. I think he'd go for that. But interesting enough, this Maradona can play centre mid and centre forward. I think track back might also be good in him. Is his aggression decent? His aggression isn't great, but I don't know. I have a hunch. Track back, like, I don't know. I've used track back on forward players with 70 aggression. I don't know if it'll work on a player with 60 aggression though, so I'm not sure about track back. I might put it on I'm not sure if I'd recommend it for you guys because I just haven't 100% sure on if it'll work, but I might put it on just to see what happens. And then last, certainly least, is Xabi Alonso. I think you kind of have to play this guy DMF. I don't think he's going to be good enough in the CMF just because of his balance. Look, he's not going to be nimble enough. I think just stick him in DMF as an orchestrator. And then also, if you go for Pirlo and you get this Xabi Alonso, you might not go for the defensive Pirlo build. You know, use Xabi Alonso in the defensive role and then Pirlo a bit further up. Two orchestrators can work, particularly in a 3-4-3. Double orchestrator works, or basically any formation when you're playing two DMFs. Double orchestrator can work. This is the build I'd go for on Xabi Alonso. Okay, for Xabi Alonso's skills, I'd probably put track back on him, blocker, gamesmanship, cut behind and turn, and aerial superiority. He's going to be playing DMF. Track back and blocker should be obvious. Gamesmanship, like I said, with Pirlo, you're going to be holding on to the ball with him, starting from deep. Cut behind and turn is really good for switching the ball. Let's say you're on the left wing and you want to switch to the right, do a cut behind and turn, weighted pass, low loft pass combo. You'll be able to get it over there really quickly. And then aerial superiority, I don't know, I think he's got decent height. The build I recommend is jumping isn't great, but I do think it might be useful. You could also put acrobatic clearance on him instead of aerial. I don't think there'd be, it's either or really, because if an aerial ball gets played in and you have acrobatic clearance, sometimes he'll win it. And kind of, instead of having aerial and win the header, you can win the clearance, so that's what I'd go for on Xabi Alonso. But overall, do I think the pack's worth spinning? I think if you already have Pirlo, like, you shouldn't be spinning for this Pirlo as an upgrade because he's already one of the best centre mids in the game. I have the big time Maradona. I do think this guy is gonna be a noticeable upgrade. He's just a good bit better, and he's a whole player. Like, I'll show you my old Maradona. So if you look at like this Maradona compared to the build I recommended a few minutes ago, there is a few differences, but the main difference is the whole player playstyle. I'm starting to really enjoy it with this Bellingham, so I think having Maradona would be good. But yeah, hopefully the pack look improves when I go back in and I get my hands on at least Maradona. I would like Pirlo too, very good defensive stats. But at least Maradona. Right, thanks for watching. Bye.